A sky humming with tens of thousands of wings, bees flood Israeli streets, shutters slam, whispers rise of divine judgment. Fear spreads faster than facts, but beneath the buzz, science points to something far less mystical. In a region on edge, are these swarms an omen, or just nature misread? Unusual scenes are unfolding across Israel, where tens of thousands of bees have swarmed multiple areas, prompting authorities to issue public warnings. Residents and shop owners have been advised to keep doors and windows shut as large bee swarms continue to appear across different parts of the country. Officials have not indicated any immediate threat, but the sudden scale and spread of the swarms have triggered widespread concern. Online, the phenomenon has quickly taken on a symbolic dimension, with users linking it to religious and historical interpretations.
Divine judgment be upon them.
Across various traditions, swarms of insects have often been interpreted as omens, signifying upheaval, warning, or transformation. In some Christian and biblical symbolism circles, swarms of bees appear in older commentaries and allegorical readings as a sign of large, overwhelming forces or plagues. In Islamic and other Near Eastern traditions, insects like wasps or locust-like swarms are used in scripture as metaphors for punitive hosts sent by God, and bees can be folded into similar imagery of a divine swarm afflicting or warning a people. However, experts caution against drawing such conclusions. Crows darken the sky, sparking fear and speculation online. Scientists later clarified that the event was a natural migration pattern, not a sign of impending danger. Large-scale animal movements, whether bees or birds.
Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakach Wadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect. Alright, back with another lesson here. This lesson will be entitled, A Transition of Kingdoms is Taking Place. Okay, and as you see here in our land Israel, where them top hatters is Amaelek, okay, tens of thousands of bees swarming. Okay, and this happened on the 15th of April. You know, right now bees swarming, they're on cars, things, you know, etc. You know, and this is signs, alright? Okay, and, you know, some brothers, you know, elders, okay, did videos on this, you know, on it already, okay? You know, and what sparked this lesson was I was watching a video from Apostle Taha. You know, he did something on the elder inquire early too, okay, and he did a video on this, you know, going on, and you know, he just was talking about how they've been, you know, the Lord is driving these bees, you know, it's like the Lord is driving Amaelek, okay, with these bees, you know, and it's a sign, okay, and what I thought about, what come to mind is Sirach chapter 10 verse 8, okay, which I'll read in a bit, but okay, as you see, this is what's going on. This is a sign. This is, you know, this is not the people. Because, you know, as soon when I saw this, you know, I thought, I thought about the hornets, how the Lord used the hornets to drive out the Canaanites out of our land. And as you see, this is what the Lord doing. You know, so this is definitely a omen. You know, it is divine judgment. You know, the Lord gonna take down Esau Edom's heaven. You know, he going at the top, you know, Amaelek, okay, the head tribe of Esau Edom, these top hatters, you know, 1948ers, okay. So let me just go AI mode here on Google, you know, bees swarming in Israel, Bethlehem here. It says on April the 15th, 2026, tens of thousands of bees swarmed several areas. Slack here for the noise. Tens of thousands of bees swarmed several areas in Israel, mostly notably concentrated in the southern city of Nivitroid, Nitivoid, I believe. Okay, Nitivoid swarm, a massive swarm descended on the city's commercial center and shopping district. Okay, so as you see, that's going on, and this is judgment. This just proves they are not the people not over there in the land, and um a transition is happening. A kingdom is being translated. The kingdom is being translated to Jacob. All right, Esau is the end of the world. All right, so I'll just look up that word transition. All right, just bear with me here. Transition meaning. All right, transition. It says the process of a period or changing from one state or condition to another. Okay, and this is what happening with Amaelek. They're being driven out of the land. Okay, the power is going down bit by bit. Okay, so change, similar words. It says change, move. Okay, transformation, shift. Okay, and other stuff. Okay, development, evolution. Alright, this world is being changed from Esau's rulership to Jacob own. Okay, so let me just get this precept here. But this is Exodus chapter 23 and verse 28. Okay, and this is when the Lord used the hornets to drive out them Canaanites, the sons of Ham, out of our land. Okay, and you see a similar thing going on here in Israel. So how they could be the the people. All right, this is this is Exodus chapter 23 and verse 28. It says, and I will send hornets before thee, which shall drive out the Hivite, the Canaanite, and the Hittite from before thee. Okay, verse 29, it says, I will not drive them out from before thee in 1 year, lest the land become desolate, and the beast of the field multiply against thee. By little and little I will drive them out from before thee, until thou be increased and inherited the land. Okay, and this is what the Lord is doing. Okay, first it was crows, which is a sign of death. Okay, and whatnot. Now is bees. Okay, stinging up people, etc. Okay, so it's a shift being changed. Okay, the power coming back in Jacob's hand. Okay, Esau Edom's heavenship is heaven. His age, his period of rulership is coming to an end. All right. Okay, just some main prophecies like the MOTB. Okay, things gonna move lightning fast. Okay, so you see. Okay, these bastards. The Lord is driving them out to the land. Okay, Esau is going down bit by bit. Okay, this is, get some here. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 7 and verse chapter 4 and verse 37. It says, by measure hath he measured the times, and by number hath he numbered the times, and he doth not move nor stir them till the said measure be fulfilled. Okay, so bit by bit, once certain prophecies pop off, like them accomplishing the NWO, disrupting the economy and getting their plans, is more the kingdom is gonna go down. Okay, so Esau is going down. All right, the judgment is inevitable. Okay, it's being translated. Okay, let's get that. Let's get that precept. This is Ecclesiasticus or Sirach chapter 10. Sirach chapter 10 verse 8. It says, because of unrighteous dealings and injuries and riches got by deceit, because that's how they got our land. Okay, during by the Balfour Declaration, all that. Okay, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Okay, it's being translated. Okay, shifting to Israel. Okay, we're gonna have back our land for the taking. Okay, all right. This is Ezekiel chapter 36 and verse 5. All right, it says, therefore, thus saith the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea. Okay, Idumea is the Greek word for Esau. The Lord have that vengeance, for what they did to us. All right, Israel. Okay, which have appointed my land into their possession. Okay, these elites, the top hatters, they have our land in their possession. But they're gonna lose grasp of it. Okay. It says, with the joy of all their hearts and despiteful minds, to cast it out for a prey. Prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, thus saith the Lord power, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the heathen. Okay, in our land, defiling it. Okay, that's why that land have to cleanse. Gonna have to be destroyed. Okay, via World War III. Okay, all that America gonna be destroyed in our land. Saying these elites, they're gonna hide in the caves and whatnot. Top hatters, to be preserved, for judgment. For slavery. And we're gonna take it back. Okay, this is what's going on here. This is Second Ezra chapter 9 and verse 7. Okay, this is the elect, all right, of the nation of Israel. It says, this is Second Ezra 9 verse 7. It says, and everyone that shall believe, Slakia, and everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby ye have believed, that will be the elect out of the nation of Israel, the 1/3. Okay, and the 144,000. All right, verse 8, it says, shall be preserved from the said perils. Okay, Jacob's trouble. Okay, all gonna come. In times to come. Okay, it says, and shall see my salvation. Okay, that's Yahushua coming back to save his elect. Okay, beam them up on those chariots in my land. Okay, Yahushua gonna bring them back in the land, in our land, Israel, and within my borders. Okay, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. Okay, so this is what the Lord's, doing. He's preparing, that land to be back in our hands, for us to have it. So this is certainly Slakia, our omen, okay, of judgment. Okay, Esau Edom is going down. Okay, so Lord's will in this video was edifying. Again, unto the elect, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakah Kodash, double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and who push in the 100% truth. Who taught us peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, Wa Abad Babal and Shalom.